morning. It's September 5th, 2020 at 5:27 in the morning. I am here with my co-star Annie. First. She's like, no, don't show me to the camera. Yesterday was sad because I found out one of my friends died. So far, nothing that dramatic has happened today. It's 5:30 in the morning, so you would think that there wouldn't be time for anything dramatic to happen. Oh my gosh, you're so hairy. Yesterday was upended by this time, so I guess I'll take this as a good sign. Since I was so sad yesterday, I sort of identified that as like, I don't feel right today, I don't feel good in myself, and if I try and take time to sit in my thoughts, they're gonna be sad. I'm just not gonna be a happy person. So I focused on just keeping myself busy. I spent a couple of hours working on my contemporary romance. Yesterday, I just jumped ahead to one of those emotional scenes that I haven't yet written. I wrote kissing scenes. There's a scene where the heroine kiss in a dumpster after talking about capitalism. And I just don't know how anybody is going to be able to resist this book. Like, talking about sociopolitics in a dumpster and then making out, like, oh my god, so hot. Legitimately, I think it's a good scene. It sounds funny when I put it that way. A lot of the interactions between the characters are based on their different experiences in life and how those systems have influenced them. It still sounds really dry when I put it that way. Let me try this again. The heroine has been living in this tiny house commune where everybody is basically, you could call them socialists, you could call them anarcho-communists. They value people over money. They're trying to limit their footprint on the planet. They're supporting each other. And in this, Katie Keller, my character's name is Katie Keller, has been trying to fulfill her mother's dream of this little co-op life that would spare them from some of the stuff that she suffered in her life. So Katie is living in her mother's dreams, basically, now that her mother has passed on. She's like Meg Ryan in You've Got Mail, but more socialist. The hero, Owen Murphy, has had everything in his life commodified and his value dictated by capitalism. And when his family rejected him, he just sank deeper into that. And his family didn't reject him because he really did anything wrong or because his family is bad. It's just that if you have a family, I'm sure that you are familiar with how easily things can go awry when the younger generations don't necessarily do what the older generations approve of. When I'm talking about sociopolitics in the dumpster, what I'm really talking about is how Katie isn't sure that her dreams and hopes will be able to manifest in reality, but she's not ready to give up on these dreams and hopes. It feels like giving up on her mother. Whereas Owen has built this defensiveness of being competent and practical and doing good in the system, but he still feels as though things are failing. Owen has spent his life feeling like if he can't fulfill his obligations to his family and the system that he thrives in, then he's just a failure. So when my characters are meeting in this dumpster to smooch on each other, Owen is sort of expressing to Katie that he loves her hope. He loves that she doesn't want to give up her dreams. He loves how much she will try to put her ideologies into real practice, because he's been so beaten down by life that he doesn't even know what hope looks like. Not until Katie is in his life, of course. Whereas Katie is in there seeing this man who is so sweet on the inside, but has been turned into this grumpy cynic by life. And she sees that it's because he's never been totally loved for who he is and told he's valuable regardless of what he can contribute. So it's really sweet seeing them, writing these characters, seeing things in each other that are giving them problems and seeing them as a virtue. Owen wants Katie to be able to hope in a way that he has never been able to hope. They're in the dumpster because Katie has not managed to live up to her ideals as much as she wants to, and she has packed her tiny house in the tiny house commune with trash and things she's bought that don't jive with their zero waste ethos. And she's embarrassed about it, that she thinks she's letting down her community. She thinks she's letting down her mother, who passed away years ago. She hasn't been able to throw away all this trash because there's no like trash cans or dumpsters on site. And so she feels that if she were to actually dispose of that and take care of herself, it would people would see, and it would demoralize. And they would think, if even Katie can't live up to this ideology, none of us can. She's so afraid of losing this lifestyle. And so Owen goes to help her clean it out, because he doesn't see Katie as abandoning hopes or failing to live up to her ideology. He sees a woman who's trying her damn best to hold things together, to make this beautiful life for everybody she lives with, and he wants to make it good for her too. So he goes to take her trash to the dumpster, and they don't actually end up throwing it out because Katie wants to have it all sorted and recycled. So you can recycle a lot of things that don't necessarily seem recyclable, but Katie is the kind of person who would figure out exactly how everything should be recycled and reused. And so Owen takes her trash out, but they end up setting it aside so it can be sorted. He's doing construction in his house, though, which is why he has a dumpster at his house. And so Katie sees the old linoleum he's torn up and the counters that he pulled out and everything he plans to dispose of. And Katie sees this smorgasbord of things that she could donate. So, of course, she dives right in to check it out. She's like, yeah, we could repurpose all this. I know this one community building that has floors way worse than this old linoleum. Let's use it. And Owen climbs in because she's so excited about trash. What he sees as trash that she sees as something she can give to the community, or she can help make sure the community reaches. And so they have this moment of contact in there where hope, and basically that dumpster ends up being this place of hope for them, as weird as it is. And it's not dirty. It's not like food trash or anything that would rot. It's just house trash, pulling stuff out of the house, like drywall and stuff. And so when they kiss in there for the first time, it is a moment of catharsis, because they are accepting and celebrating and treasuring who the other person is. And Katie is thinking, maybe I don't have to be perfect to be an inspiration, because I've inspired Owen. And Owen's thinking, maybe I don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love. And it's so sweet. This is why I love romance novels. I tend to write really dark, splattery books where good people survive and bad people are punished. But sometimes things go wrong and the wrong people get rewarded and the right people don't. And in romance, it's a totally different view on storytelling. that it's not necessarily about justice and realistic struggles. It's about love. Who deserves to be loved, how we deserve to be loved. And on days where I'm super duper sad because the world doesn't work like that, it is so beautiful to be able to write it and live in that mentally. Every time I write a romantic couple finding acceptance and catharsis in each other, I feel that in myself too. Because I don't necessarily believe these wonderful things that the characters are telling each other. I believe it for other people. I believe that other people deserve love despite their imperfections. And I believe that hope is, I do believe that hope is worth keeping, even when it's hard. And even though I believe these things rationally, they're so hard to internalize. I often don't feel them. I just feel sad a lot. I feel worried. I feel grim. I feel scared. And I want to believe all these nice things, but I can't too many times. And when I write it, I feel it. I believe it. I've internalized it. For as long as I'm in that book, writing that scene, rereading the scenes, reading other romance novels, I feel it. And that is what these books represent. So it's really nice being able to spend my work time writing this, to put myself in that headspace. I've said I miss writing the Descent series, and I do. But part of the reason that I'm not writing it right now is specifically because the themes that I've established in that series aren't as supportive of a healthy mindset. The relationships and romances in the Descent verse tend to be a bit more troubled. It's about fantasies of relationships and sexuality that jive with the darkness of the books. It's finding little bits of pleasure from each other, finding it's love with a totally different cast to it. It's a little more cynical, the world that it's in. And so when I write those things, I internalize that too. I feel that. I'm like, love is something that happens in spite of everything else. You know? Love is some imperfect thing we cobble together out of the scraps of ourselves and the trauma we've been through and in these dark times in the world. And I love writing it. But it's hard. It's hard on my mental health in the long term when I'm writing books and books and books of this. And it's also hard in the short term because I'm sitting in these feelings really intensely for hours as I write and edit and revisit them. So even though I missed the Descent series, I'm really grateful that I started this project before pandemic lockdown. It's been almost a year. And for all that it has been frustrating to work on it so slowly, so long, I'm really grateful that I have spent so long really wrapping my mind around these messages of healing in a just world where things go right for people and nice things happen. And it's a town full of people who support each other, even when they're not perfect, and things tend to turn out well, and the good guys win, and you fall in love because someone else loves you the way you are, and they help you heal and be the best version of themselves. And both kinds of love in the Descent verse and in my contemporary romance feel as genuine to me. They just feel like different facets of the complicated experience that is love. It feels much healthier for me to be writing the one that is much more optimistic. Even when I'm trying to write happy books, there's a bit of a melancholic edge to them. There's a certain refusal in myself to completely yield the bittersweetness of life but it's still more optimistic. So I'm super excited about dumpster kissing. I got to do that yesterday. And see, this morning, just talking about dumpster kissing and why you should be excited about dumpster kissing, even though that sounds disgusting, has gotten my mind off of crap. My thoughts while I'm talking about this have been focused on love and even the sad parts of love. I'm still it's in the back of my mind that I'm thinking about this and talking about this because I'm sad about Vincent Trigley, my author friend who died, that I learned about yesterday, because he was a loving person, and it makes me think about the happiness of his life and what he gave to the people around him, the people in the writing community. I've been seeing everybody in these writing spaces that I've been part of for years, all of my colleagues, my professional network, sort of coming together to remember him and miss him. And so I'm thinking about the nice parts of it, of all the love. Because there's so much love in grief. I've heard the saying that grief is love with no place to go. And that rings true. If I were talking about some other subject that's on my mind, I might still be thinking about Vincent, but I probably wouldn't be thinking about the loving impact that he had on his world. I'd be thinking more about how bitterly unfair it is that a good man can die young, and there's all these hideous people ruining the world well into their old age, being just horrible and exploitative, and they get to live. Because the other things on my mind are, politics. Some American politician whose name I won't say any of their names here, because the names have power, and I don't want to. So there was one American politician who was saying that pregnancy isn't life-threatening, basically. And this is ridiculous to me and traumatic, because I almost died with my second pregnancy, and a lot of women do, and that's horrible. Then, of course, I learned this morning they're not teaching critical racial theory. It's banned in government agencies and stuff. You're not allowed to talk about America's history of racism or white privilege because these things are un-American. I'm so mad about that. And I'm so grim about that, because at this point it doesn't surprise me. It's un-American to acknowledge all of the crap that we do. It's un-American to heal our nation from all the crap it's been through. But I didn't spend the first 10 or 15 minutes or whatever of the video talking about that. I talked about nice things. So that is good. That is the distraction we need, because talking about these things, being angry about these things, being sad about these things isn't going to change my actions. My actions to better the world are already set. I donate whenever I can to a variety of places, to mutual aid funds, to big charities, to little charities, to individual creators online. I deliberately support them from marginalized groups, and I'm going to keep doing that no matter what. I am registered to vote, and I'm going to vote no matter what. I want to do more phone banking to make sure that other people have the information they need to vote, and that's not changing anything. What can I do beyond that? These world events are beyond me. They're beyond all of us. So if what we need right now is to set our plan to make the world better and then distract ourselves, because I don't think that there's a healthier way to handle this time. My plan for the weekend, I don't know. Kids aren't here, so it's kind of 50-50 on whether I'll get some work done or if I'm just gonna get super duper stoned and watch Mulan. I am gonna watch Mulan. I'm a Disney fan. Of course, I'm gonna pay out the nose to watch a new Disney movie. I have no plans right now. Definitely, I really want to work a little bit. But maybe I should relax. It's a 3-day weekend. I hope you guys get some relaxation time. I know a lot of people are working on weekends who don't have a choice either way. And if that's you, I hope everyone's treating you as well as you deserve, and I hope that you get some time to yourself. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye!